Hey y'all, how's it going? This is Metropod again, and in this video I want to talk about my life in the Middle East. So when I was a couple years ago, when I was about 15, my parents got new jobs in a country called Qatar. Now I know that Qatar has been in the news for during the World Cup and for some of the problems it has, but I just hope to give you a little bit of an honest, more objective view. So the first thing is that I will admit that a lot of those problems that they talk about in the media, they're true, right? They're not all false, they're not all exaggerated, but a lot of them are true. A lot of them are really there. I mean, I lived there, I saw it for myself. But I also want to tell you about the good side of Qatar. And I guess in a way, I would kind of want to encourage you to visit there, at least, to see the country for yourself. And so I'll tell you a little bit about my experience. So I moved when I was 15. My dad got a new job. My mom also got a new job. And it was a bit of a culture shock at first. I grew up in the U.S. for most of my life. And, I was just used to American culture and living in America and, not really the stuff in Qatar. So the first thing that you notice when you go to Qatar is that there's a lot of foreigners. There are so many foreigners. It's unbelievable. Actually, most of the population in Qatar and in other Gulf countries, mainly the smaller ones, are foreigners, expats, whether they are, the migrant workers from India and Africa or just other expats who work, different jobs, and they're all from around the world. And that's the first thing you notice. There are Arabs from other countries, right? Arab people, but they're also part of this majority of expats that you see in the country. So that's the first thing you'll definitely notice. It's actually kind of crazy, when I landed in the airport, I expected to see all Qataris, but the people who worked at the airport, I mean, aside from the customs, they were people from India, Pakistan, Philippines, different countries like that, and so that was pretty interesting to see. We moved during the winter, obviously, so it was. I mean, the weather was amazing in the winter. Now, don't get me wrong, once you get to like February, March, it starts to heat up again, and when you get to the summer, I mean, it's really just unbearable to the point where, I mean, people don't even leave their houses at all, or they, if they're gonna leave their houses, they're gonna go by car. So if they're gonna go to the Friday prayers, they're gonna go mainly by car, and then once the sermon is over, then they go in and pray. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I really did. Another thing is that it's a very, even though it's the culture of Qatari culture is very, very unique and very Arab in that sense. It really is just a melting pot, Like I said, most people are foreigners, but I mean, you have places, restaurants, people from everywhere, probably every country on earth. And I thought that was really, really interesting. I mean, I really did get to take advantage of the international food. I got to try real Indian food, Chinese food, Filipino food. I tried Afghan food one time. I tried the food from different Arabic countries, Turkish food. I even tried French food, other, European foods. I got to try, I got to try at least one type of food from every continent. So, I really did get that really, really good experience doing that. And yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the best things ever. In terms of the things to see, Qatar is full of them. Right, so you can go to the Torch. You can go to Souk Waqif. It's kind of like a market. It's really, really nice there. It's beautiful. I'll talk about Souk Waqif for a little bit, but Souk Waqif. It's like a marketplace, but it's very like it looks very, very ancient, but obviously it's not actually ancient. I mean, it looks ancient, and it has that architecture from the ancient times, but it's beautiful. I mean, you have again, different types of food. I mean, it's mainly this time different types of Arabic food. Like you got Egyptian food, Lebanese food, Syrian food, all these different types of foods. So you get to try those. You got seafood places. You got everything. But you also have markets where they sell traditional Arabic spices, dates, different kinds of majul dates, clothing stuff. So much. I mean, it's just amazing. You can get souvenirs, mugs, stuff like that. So it's really a great place. You also have a lot of malls. A lot of people like to hang out in the malls a lot. I think it's great. You got the Mall of Qatar. The one that we used to go to is Villaggio. That was great. Different there. I mean, it's endless. There's really, really different types. Or there's a lot of different malls that you can go to, and again, you can really have a good time shopping and getting some good food too. And yeah, I mean, I guess the last two things I'm gonna mention are the resorts and the beaches. Or that's the first thing, but I'm gonna put these into one category. Resorts and beaches. Those are really beautiful. I mean, there's this place in Doha actually. It's not necessarily a beach. I mean, there is a beach at one of the like resorts. That's actually a little bit on the outskirts of the city, towards the sea. There's a place called Banana Island. That's literally just an island. We're an island resort. That was beautiful. But yeah, beautiful resorts, beautiful beaches. You'll definitely have a good time there, especially if you go in the winter, right, where the temperatures are really, really nice, or in the spring when it gets a little hotter. But yeah, and the final thing I'd say is Qatari hospitality. Qataris, just like most people in most Arab cultures, are very, very hospitable. If you ever meet a Qatari, or really just an Arabic person from a different Arabic country, and you get to know them, expect to be invited to their house, expect to get to know them really well, expect to meet some of their friends, expect to eat really, really amazing food, and just expect to really have a good time, right? Because that's what Qataris do with, that's what they do with foreigners. It's awesome, and if you really get the chance, you're gonna love it. So again, that's my experience in Qatar, and I'd really recommend that you visit.